Shea Hulse here. If you don't know me, I'm a wife and mom of two, and I help entrepreneurial women master their mindset and build successful online businesses without sacrificing time with their loved ones so they could live their dream life. And so this week, I want to talk to you about the top 10 self-help books that are really going to help you understand who you are, what you want, and how to get what you want. So if you don't know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So earlier in the month I did talk about TikTok. And so I think that this is kind of a good meld between managing your mindset as well as managing your business, because these books are going to help you understand bigger concepts of how business works, as well as how your mind works and how you have to set up your brain for success in life and in business. So the very first book I want to talk about is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, if you have not heard of that, this is an older book. This is by Robert Kiyosaki, and this book was written, I want to say, late 80s, early 90s. And I was introduced to it, and I knew nothing about it. And I still haven't completely read it because it's so full of wonderful, amazing concepts that are a little bit difficult to wrap your head around, but he does deliver in such a way that it makes it much easier to digest. I just like to take my time with something like that because I want to understand it. So I hope that you also give yourself the time to understand the concepts that each of these books that I'm going to talk about is teaching. So with Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he talks about, in essence, his rich dad, who was actually his best friend's father, and his best friend's father worked for this big company. I think it was his own company, right? And so he would always teach him little things. And then his actual father is the poor dad, and he was, I believe, a teacher, and so he would teach him different things. And so he talks about the different concepts that each of them talk about. And of course, if you don't know, he does end up taking the advice of the rich dad, which is basically how to make your money work for you, how to make more while working less. That is the entire concept behind this book. So inside you'll find lots of bigger strategies that he expands on that. That's not the purpose of this video today, is explaining all of the concepts, but that's just a brief overview. So you can go get that book from any library. I use the online library app. I use Overdrive or Libby. So all you need is a local library card and one of those apps, and then you can dive into those books for free, which I love. I'll put the link down below. Okay? So the next book I want to talk about is Think and Grow Rich, and this is by Napoleon Hill. So this, again, talks about bigger concepts. It's less about how to accumulate wealth and more about the mindset behind accumulating wealth and the type of personal skills you're going to need to possess to be able to do that. What skills do I mean by that? I mean specifically things like self-motivation, determination, a positive mental attitude, and kind of not quitting ever, right? So he talks about how Edison, and now this book is older. This book is early 1900s, and he talks about Edison with the light bulb, that there was, I couldn't tell you, I think it's 2,000 plus failed experiments before he found a working experiment for the light bulb, and how he received ridicule. Everyone thought he was crazy. You know, they said, this is never going to work. And I live in a town named after him now, and there is actually a memorial down the road to Edison, who invented the light bulb. And how Ford, his engineers told him that there was no possible way to make a combustible engine. And he said, I don't care, do it again. And that Ford actually was broke. He spent all his money on this project, and he still kept going after it, and now we all know who Ford is. And more people like that it's the key to success is to basically keep going. You know, it also talks about a miner who, I don't know his name because he's not important in the history books because he gave up on his goal. And that years later, someone had picked up where he left off and they found the gold or whatever it was he was looking for at the time. And so in Think and Grow Rich, you're going to find the fundamental basics of what you're going to need to get ahead in life and what you're going to need to cultivate in your personal lives in order to create success that you desire. The next one is the 4-Hour Work Week. So this one was kind of fun. This is by Tim Ferriss. This is a newer book. And he talks about all of the different ways that he was able to find a way to work smarter, faster, and for less time. And you know how many people criticize him for being lazy or being this or being that, and he didn't care. And he talks about how he was able to create a life for himself that he's able to work 4 hours and get paid much more than most people that work even 80 hours a week. So, and he does it in a sarcastic way. So if you don't mind some sarcasm, maybe cursing, then I think that that would be a book for you. But these concepts that he talks about are really innovative, and the entire thing that I'm here going to teach you is basically how to put processes in place so that you can work less and make more and live a happier life. So this next one is how to win friends and influence people. And these next couple of ones are going to be more focused on, again, cultivating your mindset. But this is more about how to interact with other people and how to take other interactions with other people. So this first one, how to win friends and influence people, is by Dale Carnegie. And so not the famous Rich Carnegies. I think it said that he may have changed his name so that people thought he was a Carnegie, which was smart. But this is in early 1900s. I think it was written again. And he talks about concepts of, you know, what it is that people want from you. People don't, and this is, I think, a huge concept for business owners and something that I understood prior to becoming an entrepreneur, but then I forgot when I became an entrepreneur. And that is that people, what's in it for them. That's all people care about, is what's in it for them. And that's a big concept that he talks about in the book, among other things. You know, how to sweet talk people basically into getting what it is that you want. And, you know, sometimes when you get frustrated with other people, that the way to tell them that you're frustrated is to not tell them that you're frustrated. It's, you know, oftentimes how to get them to understand your feelings in a way that makes them feel good about themselves too. And he talks about other things that's going to really help you in your entrepreneurial journey or in life in general. Because yes, people only think about themselves, and that's okay. We all do it. But he's going to help you understand how to work with that instead of against that. And talks about concepts like, prior to my being an entrepreneur, I was a bartender, I was a server, and I eventually was a manager. And it was a concept that I understood both as a worker and as a manager, is that people only care about, yes, what's in it for them. And in order to get your workers to work hard for you, they have to see that you are willing to do the work that you're expecting them to do. They have to see that you are willing to reward them for their good behavior. They want to see that you appreciate what they do, and other things like that. And then when you become an entrepreneur, sometimes you're only thinking about your ego, who you are, what it is that you are trying to accomplish, instead of who the people you're trying to serve are and what they want from you. Okay, so definitely check out that book. It's definitely a very good book for understanding how to work with people. And we all have to work with people. It's an inevitability. So go check that out. So this next one, if cursing bothers you, then probably you shouldn't read it. But it's The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. And I'm not going to say the word because I'm not going to. But in essence, this book is, how to care less about what other people think, what other people are doing. And just focus on you living your best life. And, you know, it sounds counterintuitive, but it's not, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what other people are saying, matter what other people are doing. What are you doing? Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you living life true to you without harming other people? And he says it in a very sarcastic and a very funny way, but he talks about real, you know, serious concepts. And, you know, he talks about one of the catalysts in his life of going from a life where he was always worried about all of these bigger things, and he had lots of issues of his own that he had to work through at the time. And then it was the death of a loved one that kind of helped him realize that he had to live his life to the fullest, and that even those self-limiting beliefs, those traumas that he had survived, those, you know, underlying issues that we all have, that a lot of that just doesn't matter at the end of the day. And you just kind of have to move on, be fluid, be water, as the Bruce Lee movie was. If you haven't seen that, you can check that out. It's a good movie. But definitely suggest this book, especially if you're someone like myself, or like people I have recommended it to, who suffer from anxiety, depression, and the constant compare syndrome. If you have comparison syndrome, definitely check that book out. So this next one is The Journey from Anxiety to Peace. So this is kind of building on the last book, but in a much different way. And it's a lot more about cultivating a peaceful mindset, and kind of more like a Bruce Lee mindset, and just that life happens, and to just breathe through the process, trust the process, let go of things that you can't control, and hold on to the things that make you happy. And different concepts like meditation, manifestation, and truly believing that the universe, trusting in the universe having your back, and that it supports you, and other things like that. So that's a great book if you want a more subtle, gentle introduction to that kind of a world, as opposed to the prior book. So this next one is Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. And this is by Carol Dweck. And this is a little bit more of an analytical, technical approach to the same lesson. So if you're someone that likes to understand exactly how your brain works, then this would be a better book for you. It's not one that I have read cover to cover yet. Again, sometimes if it's a bigger concept, I don't prefer to breeze through it. Where if it's, you know, a little bit easier to get through, I can kind of jump right through it. But something like this, I like to take kind of piece by piece, because this is more about understanding your traumas, understanding your triggers, understanding how your brain is actually, the neurons connecting, and how you can work with them instead of against them. So go check that one out if you like to understand exactly how your mind works. This one is The 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader by John C. Maxwell. And this one was really good. I listened to this one as an audible. And it talks more like concepts of what it is to be a leader. So it's sort of like How to Win Friends and Influence People, a more modern take. And it expands upon it even further, because it's coming from a leadership mentality, leadership role. And so if you are intending to be wealthy one day, in essence, you're going to have to learn how to be an effective leader, because you are going to possibly have people underneath you, or it's just going to be your own business. But if you really want to scale, you're going to have to understand how to effectively communicate with people, how to present yourself to the world. And this is a wonderful book for that. It goes into a lot of those concepts that are a little bit more difficult for people to understand sometimes. And I say that because I know I have had some very bad bosses, very bad bosses that have said, you know, do as I say, not as I do, and other concepts like that. So this is a good one just for understanding how to even just be a better person, because people are going to be naturally attracted to people that are effective communicators, effective leaders, effective you know, friends and things like that. So that's a great book if you want to understand how to do that. Now, for the finale, these are the last few books, is Rachel Hollis. If you don't know Rachel Hollis, she is a pretty well-known author in the self-help industry, and this one is Girl Stop Apologizing. And so she is kind of brash, but really not. I mean, she's very sweet, but she does also deliver it in a no-nonsense way of, these were her struggles, these were the things that bothered her, these are the things that held her back for a number of years, how she was able to accomplish them, how she was able to overcome a lot of her troubles in life. And she really just gives the empowerment to other women to stop apologizing, stop saying sorry because I'm, you know, too loud, sorry because I'm too quiet, sorry because I'm, you know, too small, sorry I'm too big, sorry, stop apologizing. So that's a great one for just empowering yourself to go after your dreams and to stop making excuses and stop apologizing. Then the next one, also Rachel Hollis, Girl Wash Your Face. And this is kind of just, again, another fun way of saying, dust yourself off, get back up, and try again. And it goes through her different trials and tribulations in her life, in her relationships, in her business, and how she was able to overcome them. And she encourages you to do the same. So I know I promised 10, but this is the 11th because this was an awesome one that I was able to get into recently. And that is Super Attractor by Gabrielle Bernstein. I totally love this book, and I totally love Gabrielle Bernstein, and I think that she delivers her books in such a way that it's both inspiring, both no nonsense, and a little hippy dippy, and a little bit religious. And I like that she is not any one thing. She's a little bit of everything, and so I think that she speaks to a wider audience as well as a more niche audience. Because she's able to talk about things like guardian angels, she's able to talk about things like religion, she talks about addiction, she talks about a lot of heavy things, and then also a lot of lighter things. She talks about how she was able to manifest her dream life and how you can do the same, and how a lot of the baggage that you're carrying is not yours to carry, and how to let go of a lot of those things that hold you back, and how to embrace the concept that the universe is always working for you, and that once you accept this concept that the universe is going to show you the way. So it's a book a lot more about letting go and letting live, right? So definitely check out Gabby Bernstein. She also has a new podcast, which is Dear Gabby, which I have been getting into recently. If you don't follow me already on social media, I highly suggest that you go do that, because I do talk about the concepts that she discusses in her podcast. So thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed my tips today. If you did, please share it with somebody else. And if you want more tips on mindset mastery, go get my free guide. It's Mindset Mastery for Mom Entrepreneurs, and that is going to be in the link. So go check that out. And yes, please feel free to share this with somebody else, tag somebody in it, and leave a comment of one of the books maybe you've read from this list, or what's your favorite book to read from this list. So thank you for watching, and subscribe for more. So I'll talk to you next week. Thanks. Bye.